So this is a short video to deliver to you what I think is a very important message at this moment in time, which is to unplug. Unplug from the stream of information which is accessing your precious mind through every arm of the media. Most of it is coming through screens, but also radio, the pop music industry, books, magazines, and of course the television and film industry. Every arm of the media is bombarding us with subtle and insidious messages which are encouraging us to think in a certain way, encouraging us to see the future unfolding or to believe that the future will unfold in a certain way. Essentially, we are being hypnotized with a vision of the future, a vision of what's happening now and a vision of the future, of what will be. And this will make us behave in a certain way. For example, if we're convinced that the future is going to be very bleak, very dark, very pessimistic and hopeless and very unpleasant, then that will inspire us to behave in a certain way in the present moment. Essentially, it will make us want to escape the future. And as you know, that's impossible. I mean, of course, people take their lives because they want to escape the future. People end their lives because they see no other way out. And of course, that's happening more than ever, that people are taking their lives and committing suicide. However, we do not need to fear the future. We do not need to be anxious about the future, because we do not need to believe that vision of the future, this dystopian vision of a dark future, which is being sown in our minds very, very clever ways, using advanced psychology and communication techniques and imagery and storytelling. This vision of a dark future is being sown in our mind by the media as a whole. It's working as a whole organism to indoctrinate us into seeing the future in a certain way and seeing what's happening now in a certain way. And what we need to do, the reason it's so important to unplug from the media completely, and that includes YouTube, it includes social media. Just get off media as much as you can. Just only be on it for the bare minimum that you need to be on it. And I mean email and messaging systems, messaging channels. The reason it's important to disconnect from that realm is because it distorts our view of reality. And when we go in nature, when we disconnect from that and we give our attention not only to the natural world, which is extremely nourishing and healing and reassuring, and it speaks to our heart, it informs us of the good news. When we're in nature, we feel positive, we feel uplifted, because it's communicating something to our heart, which is the good news. And that's what we need to focus on, and that's what this video is about. The good news. Don't believe the bad news. I know certain things are happening in the world, and I know it's not pretty, and I know the future. Many things will happen in the future that won't be pretty. But your focus is your heart and your mind and your soul, the destiny of your heart, your mind and your soul. And you have a choice. And if you focus on the good news, focus on the goodness, perceive the goodness, then this will change your heart. And only that, only by having your heart changed by the goodness of life, which some people call God, I call it God, you could also call it love, but by having your heart changed by the goodness, the force of goodness, divine goodness, which you can call God, then you are essentially saved from that dark vision. Because if instead you choose to engage with that dark vision, stay engaged with what the media's telling you is going on and what's going to happen, if you keep hooked into that vision and believing what it's telling you, then guess what will happen to your heart? It will be dragged into misery, into pessimism, into a sense of doom. It'll become hopeless, and I mean really hopeless. It'll see no hope for the future. The future will look black and dark and threatening. And that's where it will take you. If you keep yourself hooked into the media, if you keep consuming the images and visions and stories and ideas and messages from the media, then there is only one destination for your heart, and it isn't the light, it's the darkness. That's where the media wants to take you, because it's being used by the forces of evil, you could say, the forces of darkness. It's being used as a tool to hypnotize you. You know, some people know this quote from the Bible about the image of the beast and people worshipping the image of the beast. In the end times, people will worship the image of the beast. Well, you could call the beast the force of evil, and the image of the beast are the screens. It's the flow of information that's coming through the screens. We're all worshipping, which means we're giving worship. By giving our attention to the screens, we're giving the screens worship. We're worshipping the screens, worshipping the image, because we're listening to what's coming through our screens and we're believing it. And we're saying, oh my goodness, this is true. I want to know more. So we're giving all our attention to what the screens are telling us, and we're getting hungry for information. We want to know what the next big thing is going to happen, what the next big threat is, and how we can be safe. We're worshipping our screens because we're relying on our screens for the information, to tell us what to do, essentially. And that's what worshipping means. It means giving something worship, which means valuing it above all else. When you value something above all else, you worship it because you're giving it worship. And so how much attention are we all giving to our screens as a nation, as a species? How much attention are human beings giving to their screens? We are giving our screens most of our attention. We're listening to the media, we're listening to the news for our perspective on reality. We're all worshipping the image, which is the story, the vision that's coming through our screens, which is a dark vision. And let me remind you again, that dark vision is not true. It's indoctrination. It's an implanting of a vision that will come to fruition if we believe in it. That a vision will come to fruition if you believe in it. And this is the big crux of the whole matter. Are you going to believe in that vision? Do you want that vision to come true in your life? Do you want to become part of that vision? Because all those who engage and believe in that vision of future darkness and suffering and misery and dystopia and essentially hell, all those who choose to engage and believe in that vision will find themselves part of that vision. It's very important to understand this. You do not want to be part of that vision. You do not want that vision to become your reality. You do not want to be a jigsaw piece in the puzzle of that dark vision. What you want is the light, the safety, the glory, the peace, the beauty, the complete protection and providence. We all want that. Our hearts are designed for that. So how do you choose that instead of the darkness, the dark vision? You've got to believe in the vision of light, the vision of redemption, safety, healing, the vision of joy, celebration, the vision of complete protection, the vision where there is no need to fear. And you don't need to wait for that to come in the future. You have to believe in that now. You have to live in that world, that reality, from that perspective right now. You need to live as if you are safe and protected right now. You have to live right now as if you have every reason to celebrate and be joyful, which you do when you choose the light. You have every reason. And essentially there's one big reason, which is the goodness of God, the protection and providence of that force of divine loving intelligence, which essentially wants you to join with it. It wants you to join with it, so you become part of that force, and there's no separation. There's no division between you and that force of divine loving goodness. You merge with it. Your heart merges with it, and that's your destiny. But you have to choose that, and the best way to choose that is to take your attention away from the dark vision. In fact, if you don't take your attention away from the dark vision, you cannot be reunited with the force of love, which you could call God. The only way you can be reunited is to turn your attention towards that force, towards that light, which means taking your attention away from the vision, which is why I'm recommending that you unplug. Unplug from this dark vision. And even the vision which inspires you to see enemies all around you, to see people as your opponents, and to see people as threatening, and to be hostile, encouraging you to be hostile towards others. And of course, we all know that's not intelligent, because that leads to hostile. When there's hostility, when you're blaming other people and seeing them as the problem, then there's hostility in your heart. And that means there's darkness in your heart, which means your heart is still with this, it's still occupying this dark realm. And your heart needs to be filled with the light of reality, the light, the glory of love, goodness, which I call God. Your heart needs to be filled with that, which means that forgiveness reigns. Forgiveness is the mode of being. You have a forgiving attitude to all people, a loving attitude to all people. And what you want for all people is what you feel, what you are feeling, which is the light, the love, the safety and peace. You want that for everybody without exception, because you know that is what heals all hearts. You know that's the only way for a human being to be redeemed, or to learn even, or to become a better person, is to have your heart changed. So first of all, your first responsibility is to allow your own heart to be changed by the light. So you've got to put your attention on that light. Turn to the goodness of life, the goodness of nature, the goodness of God. Turn your mind, your thoughts to God. Speak to God, because whether you call it God or not, it doesn't matter what you call it. That force communicates with you. It reassures you. It speaks to your heart, and it tells you to relax. Don't worry. Trust. And when you relax your heart and you trust, and your mind relaxes also, and then you feel this sense of goodness, and you feel this sense of hope that it's not all doom and gloom, because your mind is now focused and it's listening to the light. It's listening to the voice of love, which is God's voice. And I'll come to that in a minute, what God's voice truly is. And so you have to listen to that voice, the voice which tells you the good news, and it speaks in your heart. And many people dismiss it. They say, oh yeah, my heart's telling me that not to worry. My heart's telling me that, if I just relax and trust, then I'll be safe. But what does the heart know? When I look at the world, when you look at the world around you and you watch the news, then you could say there is a million reasons to believe that you are not safe and that the future is going to be very bad. But I must remind you, you've got to tear yourself away from that vision. It's addictive. That vision is addictive because we're addicted to worrying. For some strange reason, human beings are addicted to worrying. I guess because it keeps us weak, and it's complicated. Well, we actually want to be weak. I guess we don't want to accept the full responsibility we have, which is a big responsibility. So it's easier to stay like a child with no responsibility, which means we have to be weak, because as we get stronger, we assume the responsibility for the state of our own being. No one else is responsible for the state of your heart. So you have to take responsibility for the state of your heart, which means taking responsibility for where you put your attention, what you watch, what you listen to, what you think. Not only that, but the way you live your life, the food you eat, the things you get involved with, the things you talk about, everything. It's all your responsibility. And what comes first is training your mind on the light, turning your mind away from the dark visions, the dark information of fear, animosity, hostility, punishment, evil, taking your mind away from that realm and all the things which encourage you to think about it, all that poison in the world, in the media especially. Take your mind away from it all and turn your attention to the goodness of life, the goodness that's in your own heart, because there is a lot of goodness, a phenomenal amount of goodness in your own heart when you stop punishing yourself and you stop chastising yourself and criticizing yourself and see that you're a good person, you care. In every human heart, I hope every human heart cares about something. So find that care, look at your own heart and be thankful that there is some humanity there. There is some compassion there. Even if it's just a little bit, be thankful that it's there, because that is the foundation, that's the rock solid foundation. The foundation which you build upon. So you've got to look for the goodness in your own heart. You've got to recognize the goodness that's in your own heart, and it's there. But you have to be willing to recognize it and say, yes, I do care. I do care about this, or I do care about these people, or I do care about this situation. I'm a caring person. Remember that you don't deserve punishment. It's very important to understand this. You do not deserve punishment. And God does not want to punish you. God, or love, it wants you to be healed. It wants to heal you. And it wants to take away your pain. And it wants to bring you back into the light, the love, the goodness, the protection and providence of its realm, of the divine realm. It wants to reconnect you and bring you back home so that you feel safe. Now the question is, are you going to let it? Or are you going to keep punishing yourself? Are you going to keep berating yourself, criticizing yourself, judging yourself? Because as long as you do that, you are turning your back on the healing and the love and the restoration and the redemption that the divine force of loving goodness, or God, wants you to experience. So we have to accept that. And it's hard when we've been hard on ourselves for many decades, and we feel like we've messed up our life, and we've been a disappointment to other people, and we've let people down, we've hurt other people. It's hard to forgive yourself. Now God of course forgives you, because God never blamed you or judged you, so you don't even need to ask for forgiveness from God, because God has never blamed us or judged us for our mistakes. But we have to accept his love by forgiving ourselves, by allowing ourselves, or telling ourselves that we deserve the love, the healing and the forgiveness of God. You deserve the love, the healing, the care, the beauty of God. You deserve that. Your heart deserves it. And I know you want it. Every human heart wants it. So please, stop punishing yourself. Choose it. Accept it. Talk to God. Talk to love. And say out loud, I want my heart to be healed. I want to be reunited with love. I want to be free of anger. I want to be free of pain. I want to be free of fear. I want to be free of the darkness. I want my heart to be healed. I want to be back home with you in love. I want to live in love. Say that and mean it, and then ask for help. Be receptive to the help. Be receptive to the love, because it's there and it awaits you. When you relax your heart and you stop resisting and stop pushing it away, the love awaits you. And you will experience this for yourself. I don't want you to just believe me. I want you to practically do what I'm suggesting. Turn away from the darkness. Turn your mind back to God, back to the intelligent force of loving goodness, which wants to communicate with you, wants to heal you, wants to love you, protect you, provide for you. And that is really good news, because you don't have to do anything to receive that. You don't have to do anything. You just have to turn back and want it. Turn in its direction and want it, and say, yes, I want it. And it awaits you. It's a free gift that God wants to give you. So, are you willing to allow yourself to receive the healing, the love, and the redemption that God wants you to have? Or do you want to keep choosing the darkness? Again, it's your choice. You will get what you want. You will get what you choose. But please understand that it leads. Your choice leads you in a certain direction. It leads you to a destination. And the destination is either extremely dark or extremely light. And I recommend you take the path that leads to the bright light, which is a path of joy, happiness, peace, gratitude, and celebration. So, thank you for listening to this video. Please enjoy my other videos on my YouTube channel. There's lots of interesting and helpful information there. And please visit my website, which is alexanderbell.org. Okay, thanks for watching. I wish you well, and God bless you.